All right. How are we feeling, everybody? What is going on? Everybody see this trading view window okay? We all good? You guys can hear me loud and clear? We're all right? All right. Let's get started and we'll do something fun while all the stragglers come in and everybody wakes up Sunday morning. Fun times. Let's leave that. We'll go do something fun. Let's do back in the day. 2020. Get off of this. Here we are. Yeah, why don't we go to? We'll put you guys through midnight. Let's do 3 in the morning. Give ourselves a little bit of wiggle room today. Okay, so game plan today is we'll focus on a little bit of entries because that's what the members said they wanted to focus on a little bit more this weekend, but we're still going to do our typical back testing where we're looking at narrative. And what we do with narrative is we're essentially trying to figure out what our objectives are, if we're going higher or lower, why we're going higher or lower, and then determining some key areas to get involved in and refining our risk that way. Okay. So we don't know what's going on here at all. This was back in 2020. And we don't know if we came up here and fail. We don't know if we have been downtrending for a while and we're getting ready to reverse. We don't know what we're doing. All right. So what we'll do for a format is we'll pause every so often and we'll kind of get an idea of whereabouts you guys are thinking. And then we'll kind of see the chart play out, and that'll give you guys the ability to be sort of thinking in real time of what's going on, and we'll go from there. So what we're seeing right now is this looks like a bit of a downtrend from here at least. We kind of broke here, tapped back in, and now we're starting to make our way down as well. So we're expecting more downside, of course. We're looking at this area here that looks like it just tapped back into. Confirm body closure here, but let's play it a little bit and get to about 5 o'clock, and we'll start to see what we're looking at for the day, and then we'll kind of start taking entries maybe around 8 o'clock or so, and leading up into the open. So let's play this a little bit. Nice little bit of volatility. Okay, so we're seeing a little bit of consolidation coming in here, which means we took something to the left, it looks like. Now, we have this channel here, which might be something to tap into and leave, but at the same point in time, if we're rallying here, one of the questions I get is how to trust sweeps and entries while you're looking at consolidation. So what we're looking at here is we're following the manipulation, right? We haven't manipulated lower at all. So what we're seeing here is we've actually swept the liquidity higher. We traded back up. I would be expecting maybe another sweep coming in here, but we're not sweeping lower, and that's something very key because that means essentially that we're going lower. Okay, so trading back in. Cool. Do we get it? Not quite. And lower we go. Okay, so if we're expecting reversal here, what we're looking for is this essentially to be an SNDR at the bottom of a range, which would mean that we're going to likely build some sort of consolidation here that sends us up, taps back in, and then leaves. Failure to get that, if we just kind of tap back in and then go back down, that would mean lower prices. And lower we go. Okay. What are you guys thinking here? Higher or lower? How are we feeling? Everybody awake? Everybody awake? That's a nice little flip in there. Right? Little sweep of here. We don't have the benefit of back testing to know if we've taken something. Our point of interest might be here. Right? We've got this candle, which was very important. Why? It was where the sweep happened, which then failed. You could actually argue even here. That then sent us lower. Right? So if you're looking long, you're liking this reaction here, which then sent us higher above this. But this high is very suspect because it's actually weak. Right? So we've taken a weak high, which means no real change in structure. We've flipped, yes. But now you're monitoring what happens in here for potential bullish price action. We've got this area that's been unmitigated. So essentially, if we go, we would probably go pretty quickly through that. Right? Because if we're flipping here underneath this, we wouldn't want to see this area be mitigated. We would want the flip essentially to mitigate it and then come back in and then we're go. Why? Because then this wouldn't be a speed bump. Right? But failure to do that is actually a little bearish for me. Okay. Tap back in. So all you guys that are looking long, you're essentially looking at this here. Zero commissions? No, that's just the trade performance on when you're doing prop. It doesn't show zero commissions. I think it's $5 or $4 a trade or something like that. And down we go. Cool. So getting another sweep in here. Our last structural bear bar was here. Remove this one now. So we're looking for something up here. Body closure be extremely bullish. Nothing yet. Nothing yet. Okay, cool. Right, so now we're thinking long. Right, we've got a body closure above here. We've got a valid low that's come in now. Right, this wasn't valid here until we got a body closure above this. So So this is a very different action than prior to. Okay, and we're expecting at a minimum this area here to be a target. There it goes. Tapping back into here. Now, those of you that are looking at, this is not a swing zone, but it's a lower time frame retracement. Right? This is not a 1 minute zone, just to be clear. Right? You would need a body closure above this candle to validate that. This is just a lower time frame pullback. Body closure on this candle because this was our last valid low, our last structural bear bar, right? This was a range here. We closed below it here. This one did not close below this bar. Sends us higher. Okay. Still going higher. Anybody like taking aggressive entries? What is this? 11 points during London. Nice little reaction out of this. After 7 bull bars. 1-to-1. Right? So when you guys are looking at taking entries like this, because I see a lot of them that come in during the day, what we're looking at is if you're not taking liquidity, then you become it, right? So what you're saying here is that this movement into this area, which isn't a zone, by the way, again, we're essentially saying that this is enough liquidity above this candle for me to be interested in an entry here, right? So what I'm looking at is actually above here being liquidity. Why? Because this was the last area before, like, we swept in here. We've taken that clearly, but I'm not seeing anything in here that would be valid for me to say that this is an objective in a sense, right? Like, otherwise we're marking up every high. You've got a little imbalance here, but I don't necessarily trade with imbalances. I'm aware of where they come in on the chart, but I'm expecting if we're going to take something, it's going to be up here. Let's see, maybe you guys get your 10 points. Whoa. Nope. So if you were short and now you've seen this occur, we see a failure to put in a valid high, and now we're getting body closures above strong bearish response action. Right? This is your sign to get out. That your idea is not correct. We're not holding for our stop or for our higher or whatever else. We're wrong, and that's fine, right? Didn't end up working out, but no sense staying wrong. Is the 420 bear candle closed lower than the prior candle? 420. Where are we here? That one, no, it's not. No, it's not. Okay. Up we go. Cool. Get rid of that now. What do we got here? This isn't a valid zone either. If we look at this as a fractal, we've got 87.75. You've got your area here that's of interest for sure. Maybe a tap into that and reject. I would consider this your SMDR that really sent you lower at 4 o'clock. close. Okay, so if you're looking short, where are you looking short to? First off, are we short right now, bias-wise? We just tapped into an SMDR. We've got a reaction out of it. Looks like we've just put in a valid high. This is where you'd be looking. We've tapped back in, right? So we broke below, we tapped back in. We've got a nice reaction out of here now, right? So if you're short, say you're short from here, your stop's now above this candle, right? You're looking for, at a minimum, to tap back into this fractal here, which sent you above here. That would be valid, right? Probably be looking to take that low. Not yet for you guys, okay? If you're not, why not? And also, what would you need to get short? Would you need to sweep here, tap back in and leave? Right? What we're identifying to the left of the chart is areas of interest that were responsible for something, right? So this isn't a valid zone, but we're looking at this fractal that delivered something significant. So if we get a reaction out of this, we're now suggesting that that's very bearish. Similarly, that if we get a reaction out of something that broke the trend, even in the short term, right, we would be expecting something down here to deliver a bullish reaction. Why? This area, this small fractal, was responsible for this low that delivered something significant, right? Everybody understand that? So we'll see how this plays out. Trade back up and fail after the valid high. Okay. Here's your sweep of this low. So now essentially what you're looking at is this. Tap back in would be beautiful. I'm holding my long till 2024. I appreciate that. What did you? Only 9,000 points if you took it off last week. Okay, so failure to make a valid low. Bang. Right? So when you're identifying, and this would have actually helped you guys quite a bit on Friday when you just had action that just kept going down, the failure to make valid lows gives you short potential scalps with low risk and high reward. So let's get rid of that. Go down there. We'll leave that on there. Right? So we've just taken here. Now, is this a protected low here? No. Good. What needs to occur for it to be a protected low? Right? It needs to have a body closure below the last structural bull bar. Right? So this isn't a valid high. Therefore, this cannot be a protected low. Right? Now, we've swept this because it wasn't part of structure. In fact, we've got quite a bit here that's not part of structure that I would expect to clear out. Right? This is just the low-hanging fruit where you're taking a trade based off of price action in your area, and now you're monitoring, because what you'll often see is this might be your first trade, and then you get something that gives you a larger move out of that area. Let's see what we get. Right? So valid low created now. Here comes your tap back in for you guys that are waiting. Nice. Right? We have a zone here you guys are interested in. What are we thinking? If you're looking for something in here, what are you waiting to see? Right? You don't have an imbalance here for all you ICT people? Right? Do you want to see some sort of change in order flow? Or do you want to see a reaction? Right? With what you guys are looking for. If you wait for a valid high, you're essentially waiting for something that closed below here. And now you're missing out on, what, 7, 8 points? You're adding on 7 or 8 points in risk. 5-second flip, cool. If that's you guys' strategy. How about this? This is essentially what I'm looking at is a fractal here, right? We didn't get a body closure below here, so it doesn't validate this as a protected low, right? I'm looking at this as an area that's being respected, similar to what I was looking at here. Yes. Right? So there's different ways to get involved. The main one right now is that our narrative is bearish. Right? We created consolidation here, which sent us lower. We're getting a reaction here. We don't know if this is going to tap back into here, complete our higher time frame flip. We don't know if this is just going to be a larger range and this is going to be a 1 hour wick. We're looking at our lower time frame for areas of interest that are delivering something. Right? This very well could just end up ranging in here, forming a intermediate time frame SNDR, which then leaves. And then we want to know if it either liquidates it or taps back in and goes. And we monitor changes in order flow with that. Right? So there's a few different ways of getting involved. The first one is that you're waiting for a flip where you're understanding that, like, I typically use flips inside of intermediate time frame zones, so like 15-minute or above, because I expect it to take its time to leave. Right? For 1 minute areas of interest or lower time frame in this example, I'm looking for a reaction at 50% or better. Often what will happen is you get a reaction in here, right? So you increase your probability by looking for something taken in order to do so. Now, this is where our liquidity is, right? Our liquidity isn't here. So it's very possible that we trade above here unless we get some sort of a change in order flow or reaction in here. Right? This is quite nice. And subsequently, away we go. Oh, that's beautiful. Right? So we've got, what have we got here for a path? We've got this. Probably something like this, it looks like. Well, that actually goes like this. Right? So very possible, but aggressive and risky. Okay, delivering lower. What are we expecting to happen with this low now? Right? This was the response to this bullish bar. No bueno. right? We want a body closure above this. We've now got a change in order flow here inside of this fractal. This low is now weak. You have to choose the, sorry, Robert, your question. You have to choose the contract itself. If you use NQ1, it won't allow you to go back that far. Okay, trading back into that flip area. Okay. You want to know what's going to happen with this potential speed bump here. Now we're still monitoring because of this. Our prevailing piece of information is that this low is weak. But we're trading back into consolidation here. And now we expect to be taken. Okay, and then trade back in. Likely back up to where? Consolidation again, right? If we get a reaction of somewhere in here, we're now going lower pretty quickly. If we get a closure above here, then we were just sweeping this weak low, and now we're likely going to trade higher. You guys can hear that, eh? Okay, so a strong reaction so far. Low created. Tapping back into here. Okay. Dangerous. And down we go. Cool. Now, yikes. What is that? There we go. Much better. Okay, so we're looking at this area for potential speed bump. If we just knife through it, then we know not to take any longs from there. Right? So we're looking at consolidation, delivering us lower, potentially to here, taking us back up into this area of high interest, right? Which then might lead us lower, or it'll just knife through, and now we're looking at this area here that we're going above. Tapping into it, what do you want to see? We've got a little bit of a bottoming pattern coming in here. Cool. Tapping into this imbalance. Okay, likely go below this now. Why just the down move and not the up down move, including the wick? Yeah, I suppose you could draw this as your area of interest. Fair enough. I look at my style of trading as I like to refine, and I refine down to what low was responsible. This one here. This was the manipulation leg inside of this that put that low in. Right? Similarly to what I looked at here. Right? So strong down move. Got that low here, right above a key point of interest. Yeah, splitting hairs for sure. It's just quite often you'll see things like this inside. Like for example, if you drew this as a zone, right? Your 50% is what, right here, right? So it actually tapped off pretty much the 50% area. Right? So key area and trading slightly above it, generating some interest here. This is what you would consider inducement, right? We're interested in longs, right? We're interested in longs inside of our area of interest. So this low put in a movement to this imbalance. We've got a reaction out of it. So now we're looking at this theory still valid. We're looking for a tap back in, ideally a sweep, and then this would be somewhere to long to then trade back up into here. Now, we don't necessarily expect to go above here, right? We'll let price lead us that way. But this would be an area of interest for us to get long. We're seeing clear interest as well, and then the inducement sort of gives you an additional confluence with that, right? So it's if-then sort of scenarios. Trading back in. Bang. No sweep, so not interested just yet. You might get a little scalp out of this. This is where you're monitoring in here to determine if you get a sweep entry into this fractal, that's your go time. Right? Failure to do so, we're kind of waiting for a little bit of additional confluence, right? We've got this high here. We'll see. Okay, tapping into another imbalance. We'll see if we get respecting out of there. Looks like you guys might get a little bit of a scalp in here. Yeah. So trading above this, possibly back up into this this candle here. We'll see. Okay. This is your sweep. Beautiful. So traded up into this imbalance. Failed, well, actually put in a new low. My mistake. It swept below here. Clear reaction out of it. Target's now higher. We'll see what we get out of this. Okay. We got a body closure above this high now. Lovely. Right? Failure in here probably taps back into this consolidation period now. Okay. Now, failed to respect this imbalance here. What you're looking for is two possibilities. Either we take this and fail. Sorry, this and fail. Right? What you're trying to look for is you're looking for what price is doing and what it's failing to do. Right? So we've got, right? Short side, short side, short side, short side, long side. Right? So now you're monitoring in here to determine whether we're going to either take this low or whether buying has stepped into this fractal and now we're long, right? So the aggressive entry is your flip where you're looking at this. Get this magnet off there. Your aggressive entry is here. And your target is probably, yeah, I would say your first target is probably the midpoint of this, right? I would put it to the prior range here. And your stop is just below here. Okay? So everybody understands that we're essentially looking for the flip coming into here. We've traded back below into this, which is responsible for the change in order flow. And now we're looking long. And our first minimum target is this high here that just failed. Your concern is this imbalance here. You want this imbalance to not really be respected. Or we're going immediately below this candle's low. Okay. Okay, so this is beautiful. You're now getting higher conviction. We traded into this imbalance. Bears had a response and they only found strength. So at a minimum, we're going above here now. At a minimum. Oh, magnet. Right? And by the way, if you get something where we take out into here, trade back in, and then start grinding back up, that's very, very good for at least a minimum long. And we're now looking to the left, probably up here, maybe even here. Why? Because we now have something like this going on in our intermediate time frame. Everybody follow? Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay. Body closure above here. Fantastic. All right. Our target's still this low here. This would be one as well that you'd be looking at. This fractal's low. Right? But we're looking at here being a source of liquidity just as much as here. Right? And then certainly this high. I clean this chart up a little bit for you guys. Cool. So we got taken out of that. We're still expecting a little bit higher. We'll see what happens. There goes that high. Trading back in. Lovely. Okay, first imbalance respected. Let's see what we get out of this. Okay. And what are you guys thinking? Where are we going? Get rid of some of this nonsense. It's going up, okay. Going up to where? Right? Let's zoom out. Zoom out for a second, right? Where's our weak high? That's right. Right? So we had this, which retraced back up. We've now had a change in order flow here. We're going immediately above here. Right? Often what happens is we get so zoomed in on trying to take the entry and we're trying to get just the right tick and we're forgetting about our intermediate time frame narrative with what price is actually doing, what it's telling us that it's doing. Right? Yes, this is an intermediate time frame double bottom. Right? Your key is that you got to change an order flow here, which now makes this high weak. Right? And it's going to try and, it's got little pullbacks that come in here. This isn't a valid swing zone, as you can see. Right? We actually haven't had a valid swing on this, which tells you that it's at a minimum your 15-minute time frame. Bye-bye. Right? Now what's your expectation? right? We go on above here. Is that fair? If we took this high and swept and failed, we're going immediately below here. Failure to do that means that we're going higher. So now what we're looking at is whereabouts on the left of the chart was areas of interest. We have this up here for sure. What you also see is you see areas of consolidation where a lot of volume was. You can see where volume is on your chart. Right? So how do you know you failed to do something is you're looking for a change in order flow. You're looking for how price reacts to things. Right? For example, we didn't just short because we saw a wick here, even though it's in our zone. Right? We wanted to see something occur that tells us that this is a valid high. That doesn't necessarily mean that we get involved when we see a valid high, but you're looking for changes in order flow, right? So failure to close below here, below this high here, tells us something as well. So we may very well tap back into this area that was responsible and then go, right? But what I'm trying to implore on you guys is that we're not looking to short to get back in, to short to get back in, to short to get back in, right? Because what you end up thinking is that everything is a reason to go back down or to go up, right? Like we very well could get a long like that comes into here and then goes. And that might be your 10 to 15 point trade on the day. What I'm trying to figure out is what the objective is. And that's where we study price and figure out where the end goal comes from. Okay, so trading back in. Tap back into that area. Right? Why is this area expected to be strong? You guys know. You guys know. That's right. So your two options are we going higher, right? Or are we going lower? And what you look at is if this gets wrecked, then we can tap back in and look for lower prices. But we just had a confirmed break above this area. You'll find that SNDR to SNDR looks like that on a lot of different charts as well. Right? And when you start to put multi-time frame analysis to that, it becomes pretty crazy. Okay, we're not even at 7 o'clock yet. We're motoring higher. Right? But do you guys understand what I'm talking about, right? Looking to short in here to take us back lower. Looking to short here to take us back lower because we got consolidation here. Right? We allow the chart and price to tell us where it's going to go. Until you see the market scream at you that it's ready. Right? So here's something nice. We finally have a, well, I suppose that's a valid high in there as well. Right? This isn't part of structure. We have our last valid bull bar here. We close below it here, making this a 1 minute zone. We've now tapped back into it. Let's get rid of this nonsense. We'll see what it offers us, if it offers us anything. What are we thinking here? Waiting for lower? Or are you seeing something different coming in? Those of you waiting for a flip out of a 1 minute zone might be disappointed. You have a valid high in here, fair enough. Possible smile, okay. How about now? Right? Doesn't necessarily mean that this is part of your system, but what I'm trying to implore is that this 50% line isn't the be-all, end-all. Right? Yeah, it gives you nice risk reward when you're starting out. Right? You're risking what, six points in a tick to make 6 points in a tick. You do that 7 out of 10 times, you got yourself a profitable system. Cool. But it's far more important to actually understand what price is doing or what it's failing to do. It does and it doesn't. It's important to know whereabouts you are in a trend, but it's far more important to look and see. We've got an objective here. We've got a change in order flow in here. I'm not looking if this is fourth swing, fifth swing, what it is, right? That's very discretionary to me. I'm looking at, is price switching from bullish to bearish? Is it entering a range? What it's doing? Right? I enjoy taking trades at the point of reversal on swings 1 and 2. I would suggest not taking trades with trend after swing 4, but the chart itself tells me more often than not if the swing count is viable or not. I don't understand how to sell from the first one. I was subtie that I was going to buy. To sell from the first one. Are you talking about here, Jay? Right? The conservative trade is a change in order flow in here. The second push. Right. What do you mean sell from the first one? We're not looking for any shorts in here. Yeah, that's fair. You got a sweep in your area. We've tapped back into somewhere that was significant. We've taken something below here. Right? Everybody that bought in here, where's their stop? It's below here. So we've taken that. Right? You could have even entered aggressively here, but I'm looking at these equal lows. Right? What I'm trying to suggest is that we don't want to set a limit order here for 91.87, not get filled because we're trading a pattern. We're studying price itself. Okay, and up we go. So trading into our consolidation. Hopefully nobody is looking just to blind short in here. And I don't care if that unloads 30 points. Right? Because this is exactly what happens when you do that. Every time. Right? We've got our high here. Very possible. Okay. First imbalance, we want to know if this is going to make a new high. If that makes a new high and sweeps and fails and comes back down, that would be an area we would look to trade back down into a zone. Or not. Okay. Pretty. What would you guys need to go short if you're going to go short at all? Right? We've got an imbalance here. You've also got one here. Right? This is an important fractal. We long or short off of this valid low that's put in. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Short to the imbalance. Cool. Did we get anything taken to the left? I suppose we did. This consolidation is challenging. Right? What's our key piece of information here? This is where some educators get things right sometimes. Right? But we're looking at if price was to go higher, we would have respected this. Because we know how price moves. So the failure for it to do that actually tells us a lot of information. We don't necessarily want to use this as a short entry. I don't use imbalances for entry. But looking at them and the power they have on the chart is important. It would be silly to not respect them. Right? So we've taken this high here. We traded back into this area, right? This high of this candle that traded lower, traded higher, and then left. This is an area of interest for sure. Now, you might look at wanting a smaller bull bar to then short below it. But I'm not long in here because the reason for going long would have been this imbalance. Now, we tapped into this fractal, but I'm not looking at this fractal as anything significant. It didn't break anything to the left. Your fractal is here. So at a minimum, we would be looking at shorting somewhere in here or off of a sweep to trade at a minimum back down to here or our zone itself. Right? Because if we're expecting higher, we're going to go down to mitigate. We're expecting to go down to mitigate because we're not respecting imbalances to go higher. There's your sweep. And now we go lower. Okay, tapping into this. Beautiful. Right? Now, hypothetically, say that you guys are ballsy and you wanted just to trade from here. Where would your target be? We go from areas of interest to areas of interest, right? We might get a reaction from here. If we do, we're going lower, right? If we don't get a reaction from here and we just start putting in bullish bars, then we tap back down and we go higher. Right? Let's see what we get. Okay. Choppy. Not good for bulls so far. Where's our key area of interest? It's this high. Okay. I'm not liking the failure to go lower, but it's also not, what is that? 202.25, 202.25. Dangerous. There you go. Okay. So I'm definitely expecting this to get wrecked at some point after we potentially trade back up to our objective. Okay. So continuation of price action like this. I wouldn't blindly short into this momentum. A sweep would be interesting, but I'm looking at this here, right? So nice little tap into that midpoint. Okay, that was a little violent. I can't say that I would have gotten involved in here, but my target is now, or my expectation, I should say, because I'm not involved in this. There's no way. Is 225 here, and there it goes. Right. Anybody looking long from in here? We've got our zone here. This area was left unmitigated. Cool. It's a very violent reaction down. Okay, what about now? I would consider it a weak low after we take out this. Then we would get something like this. Rut-row. Bang. First imbalance here, right? Hadn't swept anything. If we swept here and traded back in, now we trade back up into here. Right? Very different than what we're expecting. Now, trading back into here, fair enough. Probably get a little bit of a reprieve back up into here. I wouldn't be longing this candle, but our expectation is that at some point in here, we're trading back up into this range. And looks like people are getting paid for it. Okay. So we have this here, fair enough. Zone has more structure to it, I trust it more, fair enough, cool. Get rid of some of this now. We're not using any of that. Right, you've got this area here is an area of interest for sure. I wouldn't be looking for shorts in here because I trade objective to objective, right? And as somebody just pointed out, we now have our intermediate time frame flip. So now we're at 7:49 in the morning and our daily objective is this. So those of you that are just waking up, this is what we're looking at. We'll see how it plays out. Okay. What would you guys need to see to get long to come into here? Or are you waiting for shorts, building your accounts? Right? Our expectation, possibly here. Right? No way I can see longs currently. Okay. Possibly a long out of this fractal here, if. Nope, looks like it's just going to go up. Trading back in. Those of you that enjoy imbalances, you're looking for this candle here to tap into it. Failure to do that though. Okay. Now, hypothetically, would we go long here after a valid low is created to take us an extra 10 points higher? Or has the move been missed when we're waiting for that? Right? And essentially what you're asking is, when do you know that this low isn't going to be taken? Because essentially, if we're shorted here, that's our expectation. Right? We've got to move back in, we tap back in, we leave. We're looking pretty good here for it to trade below here. Right? So what you're looking at is you want this candle to tap into this imbalance and go. You want it essentially like the market saying, oh shit, I left something here. Let's just pick that up on the way. Right? We don't want, like, the second this candle closes here, we're not expecting this imbalance to hold significance, which means, again, what was our study in here, right? This failure means we're going lower. Likewise with this, right? This wasn't what we wanted to see at all, right? What happened here? Oh shit, I forgot something. Bang, goodbye. I've got an objective to hit. See ya. Failure to do so in here. Okay? So when you're looking at this price action here, ideally what you want And this might be your, if it didn't hit there, then fair enough, right? Like I'm looking at this fractal. That would have been somewhere I would have been interested in long. This sort of tapped back into here and just left, right? So this is a little challenging to get a hold of structurally. ICT people will see this as an order block, I suppose, when we close above it or whatever. But essentially what I'm looking at is I'm not a fan of going lower after this imbalance gets disrespected, which means that I'm looking for reasons to get higher in areas where I can now refine my risk. So this is challenging because these are equal lows. I would have expected those to get taken. And if that means that I miss a 30-point move, that really sucks. I'd like to be involved in absolutely everything, right? There might be something in here off of failure, right? I personally would have liked to long the close of this candle. I'm not waiting for this, but I'm expecting higher prices. The close of that candle, because based off of price action reading alone, this bear bar was a response to strong bullish price action, and the response to this bear bar was a strong bull bar. So I'm looking at trailing my micro time frame lows here higher. So for example, if I was long here, stop below that, I'm now targeting my zone. And as I'm following it up, my stop's now here, my stop's now here, right? My stop's now here, and we're still not out yet. We're following this up. My stop's now here. Which probably gets taken here now that we've entered our area, right? We just tapped into an imbalance. We could go above here. We'll see. No. Right? So we actually would have gotten taken out on that move. Okay? Now, with your growth as a trader being in a long position, you have to now think of, what do I want to see to get short? Because what I want to see to get short is also my reason to get out of my long. It's the same thing, right? If you're looking to sell up in here, you could be entering a short position or you could be exiting your long position. But either way, you're selling on both. So often what I see is people will be so so into managing their position itself that they actually miss the major short opportunity that comes into here because they're managing your long position. Right? Now again, if you waited for a valid low to be created in here, you're missing the majority of that move. We're looking for a change in order flow. Now we've got a key reaction out of here. We're respecting an imbalance. What you're looking for is a potential sweep of this. If you get a nice sweep, your two options are sweep fail, and now you're in somewhere here with your stop above there, conservatively above the actual area itself. Or you're looking for something like this, something like this, which then takes you out. Right? But you're getting excited in here because you're understanding our intermediate time frame objective has shifted. Our higher time frame is bearish. Zoom out. Our intermediate time frame is bearish. We just flipped. We're now looking for our lower time frame to also be bearish. And we can tell that based off of our micro time frame. See what we got. There's your high. Cool. No sweep. That's violent, but it's back into here. We'll see if this generates anything. Okay. This might be a little difficult to get a hold of. Are we expecting a violent move out of here? Right? What's your expectation? Okay. If yes, then why? Right? What you're gauging is what the understanding that your higher time frame is bearish and your 15-minute is bearish. Remember what happened this week. How difficult is it to get involved in these higher time frame moves if you're waiting for that large confirmation? And how much of this is part of structure? Okay. So we're short, ideally from here. Right? And we're targeting lower, the area that hasn't been swept yet. Lower time frame structure will get wrecked if higher time frame is shifted. That's correct. Right? We didn't get a sweep in here. Right? We have a low, potentially a high. Right? This is definitely a high out of 1 minute time frame. This is all part of a range. None of this is part of structure. Why? We don't have any. We have a valid low inside of a range. We have no valid high put in at all. We don't have any swings. Okay, so as we teach, I've given you guys one entry pattern so far, right? One of them is the buy stop or sell stop entry, which is more aggressive, but you have to understand when to use it. And you use it when you're understanding that people are trapped and you're aligned with your higher time frames. So I'm not expecting this high to be taken now. We've just manipulated higher into our area and we're starting to spool downwards. So we've got a small speed bump here, maybe a small speed bump somewhere in here, but I'm expecting this low. We'll see what we get here. Right? For those of you that are looking for lower time frame, failure to make a valid low here on the 1 minute. How good, when you're monitoring this, how good is your analysis of this as a higher time frame move right now? Silly thing. Right? We're expecting this to be violent because it's aligned with our higher time frames. So we don't want to see valid lows put in at all. Equivalently, if you're looking at selling and you missed this and you see a failure to put in a valid low, this is, again, another short entry off that failure, right? So conservatively, you're selling the close of that candle, right? Maybe you have a 5-point stop or whatever you want, right? And you're looking for, at a minimum, that low to be targeted. Expecting lower prices because we failed to put in a valid low. The key is that you're actually reacting to price telling you that a valid low just failed. Not selling here expecting a valid low to be created, or a valid low to not be created. We're reacting to what price is telling us. Right? So, again, similarly to how we caught this long up, you've got a failure here after that, trailing here, trailing here, trailing here, trailing here. You guys get the picture? Do we still have the origin from below? We're still looking for this low to be taken. Now, I don't expect that's 105 points, right? If we're taking it from here, we're looking at about 100 points once it breaks, if it breaks, right? This is your low-hanging fruit. We don't know if it's going to do this. Our expectation is that we continue lower. There could be speed bumps along the way where people are taking profits, right? We got 34 points short that we're sitting in quite happily. Okay, so you now have a valid low put in, which we're not terribly happy about. Let's get rid of some of this. Is that really not going to let me choose that? Right? What's our expectation of this? Could we take it off here and be quite happy? 23, 24 points there. I'd be pretty happy. Right? Our expectation could still be this, but now we're looking at price putting in a valid low. Right? So I personally would be out here. Unless I get an immediate tap in and a reaction from that imbalance, which is also valid. Right? So you might consider your stop being here now at 20 points. And you're waiting to see what happens with this imbalance reaction, which is fair. A body closure in here, I would absolutely be off on this close. 100%. And if that means I miss out on the extra 10 points of profit, then I miss out on that. But my win rate thanks me for it. Okay. So now we're looking, we've got this high for sure as a potential target. I wouldn't be going long here, but the expectation is that price trades up a little bit higher because we just put in a valid low. Everybody understand with me? Okay, well, that's violent. Okay, so traded closed above this. Certainly higher prices very quickly. Cool. Might trade up back up to this consolidation here. We'll leave that there. Violet. Do we expect this imbalance to hold? third candle touch. Why or why not? We're having a lazy Sunday. We only got a few people talking in here. 88 people in here. Only a few people talking. Right? Higher time frame. Intermediate time frame. Right? Lower time frame facilitated up here. Right? We're expecting this low to get wrecked. Sure. Hangover is strong. Good for you. Right? We're not expecting this bullish imbalance to hold because our higher time frame order flow is suggesting lower. We're not looking for longs here, especially off of a weak low. Bang. Quite rude of them to get us out down here, but we're happy with the 20 points. Among 10, 22, 20, like we're not even into the volatility of today, which we'll get into as well. Maybe we'll speed it up a little bit. Nice little sweep in here, right? We took out that low. Right? Trading back in, likely, but nothing I'd be interested in longing. Respecting imbalance, maybe. Don't want to see a body closure above that. Yeah. You micro time frame peeps probably love it. Whoop. Long or short? You guys that see bull bars, you guys long or short? Quick long. Cool. Long into the next high. Interesting. Over here. Cool. Okay. Still short. Jory diamond hands. It's fun to see all the contrarians. If you're going to be long at all, you're long on the failure in here. And you're looking for a very conservative target because you're longing against both time frames. We've already confirmed the bearish flip on your intermediate. We know it wants to go lower. So if you're going long, what you're suggesting is that there's a intermediate or higher time frame reason to go higher. Right? Now, we got a body closure below here, making this protected high on your 1 minute chart. Right? So you could, in theory, use this and look for a mitigation into here. This is nothing. If I was looking for a scalp, I would have been in on the sweep of something significant. I wouldn't be terribly interested in this. But I can understand what you guys are looking at. Right? And hopefully you guys are out now. Tapping into your first imbalance. Reaction. Those of you that enjoyed your sweep from here, you're probably taking your few points and you're out. with your dopamine hit. Goodbye. Immediately back in, cool. But as we can see, this is intermediate to higher time frame order flow. Right? Now, not a valid zone, not a valid zone, not a valid zone. There was a valid zone here. We already wrecked it. Essentially what we've got going on now is we've got all the way down here is our liquidity. Oh, I've been there, man. I've been there. You know, 60, 70 trades on one account. Per account. I've been there. Biggest problem that the majority have is the ability to zoom out and figure out what's going on. People zoom out, they realize, hey, I'm actually a phenomenal trader. Right? Anybody along with this consolidation? What are you noticing in here? What's the first thing you guys are noticing? Should be this. Right? We have a low here, not swept. We have a low here, not swept. We have equal lows here, not swept. This is just your lower time frame trendline liquidity. Follow the manipulation. Down we go. Please don't make a fool out of me. Thank you. Oh, little sweep. Right? Took something here. Not part of our zone. This is just inducement. And lower we go. And really lower we go. 906. Okay, tapped into our area here. Okay. Anybody looking long above this for a little move? Be honest with yourselves. Whoop. You guys in your one-to-ones, do that quick little 5 points. You can still use this. This is a speed bump, right? You just have to be aware of where the liquidity is. Right? I'm not looking for this being taken as something significant. I'm looking for, if I get a sweep of something, now I'm looking for a trade back up here. But my objective is here. So I'm not in a rush to take anything. Okay. Charging below here. Cool. Ooh, valid low. What are you guys thinking? One more candle, maybe? Do you understand why you're waiting for something to get taken, even if you're considering a long? It's a valid low, yeah, on your minute time frame. Yeah, this would be the expectation, for sure. Is it still our expectation? Technically, we have a bit of a flip coming in here, don't we? Or do we? Well, I suppose that actually traded above that that high there. So it's more like this, isn't it? This is valid, right? I'm still not interested because we haven't taken this. If that means that I missed this, fine. Ooh. No liquidity taken. What are you guys thinking? This is your tap back in and a little bit of a move. Body closure above that, was it? One tick above it. Creating SNDR, very possibly. Very good analysis as well, David. Possibly, yeah. Little sweep here. This hasn't been swept yet. And probably see some fireworks at 25. It's usually when I see it, about 5 minutes to open. We'll see. Oh, literally to the tick. 925, 125. What do you think the chances are of us holding a 9125 low? Double bottom. This is going to get wrecked. Right? You've got your low of exactly 9,125. Market loves psychological numbers. Right? Getting a hold of it is challenging. But this is all inducement going on here. And we got 2 minutes. 1 minute to go. Okay. 925. And there we go. Question becomes, wow, okay. 930. That's a 60-point opening candle. Anybody along with a 39-point stop? You were getting paid, but not my flavor. Now, as some of you mentioned, a little bit of an SNDR that then sent us lower. We would expect to tap in, potentially trade away, or we would expect some sort of an SNDR to form here, which would then send us higher, breaking the trend. We would tap back into it, we would leave. This is a very strong pattern off the open. Okay? It's something that I want you guys to burn into your brains as well. Okay? So we're looking at, well, let's actually form it from here. Okay. Beautiful. Now, This in here is very nice. When we're getting bearish response, which is failing to even tap back into here, you might have looked for something back in here. And again, this is your higher time frame completing its objective and sending us higher. Right? Conservatively, we're now looking for this trade to come back in and fail inside of our SNDR here in an ideal situation. We'll see what happens. Here's your first imbalance. Not respected. Lower we go. And immediately higher, right? Same sort of thing. Now we have a valid high in here. You're looking for something to tap back into this. And then away we go. With the understanding that we've now shifted bullish, we're likely going to trade up. Probably back up into this area here. I wouldn't necessarily expect all the way back up into here, but certainly something in here would be nice. All right, we've tapped into it. We'll see what we get. Violent. Okay. Anybody looking long in here? Cool. So tapped in, immediately swept. Right? Cleared all this that wasn't part of structure out. Didn't come back down to our mitigation point, which is information for perhaps later. We swept this stuff that wasn't part of structure. And now we're looking to go higher. Right? So this is where you're looking for potential sweeps, where you have not part of structure lows. We clear them out and we fail to go lower. And now you're looking at your curve and you want to be long as that elastic band is coming to the long side. With your narrative now that we've broken our SNDR lower, we've tapped back in to mitigate, and now we're going higher. This very well could come back up, and then we get something like this, which then takes you back down, and now we've got a double bottom coming in here. That's very viable as well. Right? Okay. Not what you want to see at all. I would not be terribly interested in holding on to that long. But that said, if we're going to enter a range, this is how we would do it. Get rid of some of this nonsense. Let's see what we got. We took that high by 2 ticks. Came immediately back in. Failing below candles. That's actually down here from the no gap, but we'll see. Okay. Anybody long off of this? What's the significance of entering a range in here as well? This is a aggressive sweep entry. Probably, yeah, I wouldn't really want to see that get taken. And you're looking for a target of Probably 1-to-1, I would say, at this high. And is it going to give it to us? There we go. Beautiful. Right? Failed to make a new high, takes this low. Failed to make a new low, likely takes this high. Right? In a range, we're playing the extremes. We're playing the extremes. But you're looking at, we put a high in here, right? We came down, we swept this low. This low failed to make a new high, right? We took it here, failed. So now we take this low, failed. So now we take this high. And then we'll see if we get a failure in here. Cool? There goes that high. Failed. See what we got. Cool. All right. First imbalance respected. Expectations lower. And not getting it. Okay, so higher we go. Don't make a fool out of me. Come on. Thank you very much. We've now taken the high of this. Key couple of bars coming into here. If we sweep this trade back in and fail, right? That's not good. If we tap back in and we see strong price action like a flip, then away we go. We don't want to see these lows taken. Okay, first imbalance. See what we get. We are in a range, so as we've seen, imbalances aren't ideal. Valid high 950-ish. Where are you? Not sure where you're looking, David. Okay, nice little sweep there. We seem to be spooling. We'll see if we get a tap back in and what we're doing here. Okay. No bueno for longs. All right, we're starting to get body closures below all of this. Okay, first imbalance here. Looks like we're looking to expand from the range. Just tapped into our 50% here. Anybody thinking a long for 50%? What are you seeing? What would you do if this was a real, or if you were trading on the 24th of February in 2020? Right, where would your stop be? Would it be tight? Would it be at the bottom of this, 20 points? Here comes your squeeze. Backward squeeze. Okay. Are we still front side? What do we got here? Low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, high. Right? This isn't what you're looking for a flip. Backward squeeze, right? You want something where you're actually trading above candle, trading back in and leaving. This just tapped into the imbalance and sent us lower. And then we failed to take out this high here. Right? Now, well, actually that's not even valid, right? We've got our area here from prior that we're interested in, right? Alternatively, we've got this fractal here that was responsible for this low, which put in this high. And you've also got this area down here, which are potential areas to give us retracements. Okay, so if you're thinking long, you want to know what happens to this SNDR here. Right? You could even argue it's this fractal here and not even that bit of consolidation. And wrecked. Okay, interesting. Sweep it down along it, cool. And here you go. Exit. Very aggressive entry is the sweep of this. Taking it on the way back up. Let's be conservative and say it's in the middle. If this is manipulation, our stop goes below it. And now where's our target? Probably back up into the range. Right? Let's get rid of this nonsense. You've got speed bump here, maybe another speed bump here. We're looking at trading back up into the range. Looks a little silly, risking 5.5 points to make 41. But we'll monitor how this goes, right? Let's just put it here. Let's right in the middle. Let's say we're not trying to make 40 points off of 2 points of risk. Like, feasible, but your first target is this. Right? You're looking to make, what, 15 points off of 5 points? Pretty valid. Whoop. Okay. Conservatively, we're out. Tap back into this area here, which then sends us back lower to consolidation, right? So, as we said, speed bump takes us back down. If we're going to go long, we're going to go long from in here to continue higher to our next speed bump, facilitating our lower time frame pullback to then get short again. If our intermediate time frame is going to, or our higher time frame rather, is going to continue this, right? With our intermediate time frame doing this, right? And our lower time frame going haywire. This is your multi-time frame analysis that, right? So that looks like this was sufficient for a tap back in. A little violent, we'll see. We might still get our movement back into here. Okay. Here's your second entry coming in here. You've got some inducement. Traded back up, sent us lower. We've now swept and failed. Beautiful. Are we going to get a range tap or are we going to get a change in order flow? We're now tapping into our speed bump here. Yeah, very possible to get another flip in here. And as we said, we're now trailing below lows. Right? We don't allow 20, 30, 10, 7. Right? You have to have a reason to exit on every trade. What you don't want to see for it to continue higher. But allowing yourself, right, like your lows here, 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 not getting stopped out yet. There's our target back up into the range. Cool. Clear reaction of it already. Lovely. Let's see what we got. Okay, there's our first imbalance tap. Those of you that are holding for something a little bit more conservative, you've got this, or not conservative, a little more aggressive. You've got this low here to put in this high. So 64.75 up in here. That's your entry to that area. You don't want to see it close below here if you're still even sitting in here. We still long or we short? Right? What's our viable path? We'll go for another 10 or 15 minutes and then we'll call it here. Right? What's our viable path? Let's shorten this down. By the way, that be nice if that worked out like that every single day, but they're not always that pretty, are they? Right? So, retired from last previous trades, good for you. Right? So, we've got this coming in now. Looks like it wants to trade back down to our consolidation. Manipulate lower, indicate higher. Cool. So, you guys are looking at that sweep there. That's lovely. Back into our zone here. If we're going to go long to trade us back up into here, then we can look at that, right? What else are we noticing? We're noticing that we've got movement on our 1 minute that's actually creating valid highs and lows. We didn't get one in here, unfortunately, but this is lovely. Okay, sweep that zone out long. Okay, tapping back down into our fractal from earlier. Your liquidity is here. Do we get it? Not quite. Here it comes. Here's your second entry, maybe. Can it give the sweep? Oh, there you go. There's a sweep. Are you waiting for this? There you go. There you go. Right? Let's say conservative. Let's say conservative again. Let's say we take it on the way up. Bob, can you turn that down a little bit? Right? This is your target now. You could trade back into this range. That would be aggressive. This is your low-hanging fruit. Right? This is now a weak high. Price is telling you it's a weak high because we're failing to close below. Trading back into the range, beautiful. And violent too. Low-hanging fruits pay hard. That's right. Right? But you're looking for inducement, swept. Now we go. Right? Wait for something to form or get swept and your win rate will increase exponentially once you understand whereabouts you're looking. Right? And low-hanging fruit as well. Even if you took that to 42, what is that, 20 points? Like, or 10 points, or 7 points, who cares? How many times did we do that today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? Higher we go, maybe. Interesting. Valid high formed. Prior to the candle close, yeah. So I consider the 1 minute to be my lower time frame. I consider anything lower to that to be a micro time frame. Right? So I look at the micro time frame that's facilitating the 1 minute pullback, which is then facilitating the continuation, right? So I look at it, there's two ways of looking at it depending on what you guys like best. I listen to what the market's telling me, and what I mean by that is if this is your curve and you on your micro time frame you have this, we obviously want to be long on this side of the curve. So what we do is this wick down, this movement essentially was short, 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 and then flipped and is now going long. We want to be in as the chart's moving back up, because our narrative is that if we fail here and then it's confirmed, it's very aggressive getting in here, but when you pair that with narrative and understanding of this being a very key area, if we see order flow changing on our micro time frame, it's facilitating the 1 minute failure, which then tells us we're going higher. Right? It won't let me actually go down to the seconds time frame on this, but think of it as an elastic band. It's getting stretched and then let's go. And you can kind of see that if you're trading off of NinjaTrader, you can see that on your dome. If you're trading off of TradingView, you can see that on your dome or on the chart itself as it's printing. With the benefit of hindsight, obviously we know what that's like, right? This might have been like this wick might have been like sort of chop, 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 flush down, flush back in, and then that makes it a little bit easier, right? Essentially what you're looking for is it pausing here and failing to go lower, or did we get something violent that took us back in? It's the first flip fake after sweep. So those of you guys that are in the trading Discord, when is your flip fake? Let's see it in the chat. When is our flip considered fake? It's fake. Everybody's sleeping. It's fake when it trades into something unmitigated on a higher time frame. Right? You would likely, sorry to answer your question, David, you would likely see something on the 15-second as well, or the 5-second. But yes, this wick has its own structure on your lower time frame. Right? So we would look at this area was left unmitigated. This isn't a lower or a 1 minute swing. Right? So currently this high is weak here. Right? That's against our narrative, but it's very possible that we take this high unless we get a change in order flow that occurs in here. Now, we're still looking short, right? Because we got our change in order flow up here, which then sent us lower. We actually broke this area that was responsible for breaking this trend. That's very key. Because if this price action happened in here, and this low was actually up here inside of the SNDR, that's a very different narrative than what we've got going on here. Very different. Right? We're actually looking at this being a range, this potentially being a range, and we're actually just creating ranges as we distribute lower. Very different. Okay, so we'll see what happens with this high. We'll go for another few bars and we'll see. All right, what we don't want to see is this low being taken like that. Now we've got a change in order flow happening on the 1 minute chart. And now we're actually looking at this not being as weak, because we got a change in order flow after we tagged into here. Now that might just take us down into here, but I'd be very curious longing off of this low after a change in order flow, which has now put this as a weak low because we failed to make a new high. Whoop. Whoop. Okay. A little bit of range brown action coming in. Right? We're looking at this low now as an objective. Dangerous. Strong push up, larger push back in. Stay just above. Imbalance. Finally tapping into our fractal. Finally tapping into our fractal. Anybody interested? How about now? What you're looking at is you're looking at something in here, maybe even lower, that's going to then send you back up into the prior range. Now that's likely going to be violent, but we'll see what we get. Okay. That's a nice little sweep. Okay. Now, yeah, you're looking at failure, right? So I've got a valid low coming in here. This will likely trade back up to consolidation. It could rocket through, right? We've got our valid low, right? That's very possible. But I'm looking at this being a speed bump and then trading a little bit lower. We've just hit the midpoint of this fractal, which I'm very interested in because we have an objective higher to hit with a lot of volume going on. We'll see what kind of price action we get in the next few minutes. Okay, so tapping into this, would have rathered a little bit higher, but we're tapping into this lower time frame SNDR. Okay, there's our higher push. We're respecting this fractal here, which is responsible for this low, swept, traded up, and then got slammed down. So we broke micro time frame structure here to continue lower. Notice how this isn't part of 1 minute structure, right? But we're seeing some sort of price action coming here that we like. Now we're looking for failure, which would then take us higher. Okay, nice, but can't get involved yet. Okay. Oh, that's nasty. I would have liked to sweep there. I would have been very interested in that. Oof. That's rough. I can't say I would have gotten involved there. I would have rather seen a sweep that came in. And if I miss it, I miss it. That's unfortunate, right? But I'm certainly looking at it trading back into here at a minimum. Wow. Okay. Okay. Likely trades back down into this range. There we go. Maybe one last push up. We'll see. Or is that just going to be enough? Enough it is. Cool. And lower to this area. And again, here's where your flip comes in, which is then going to take you back up into that, right? So that's a little tap in there. Down, up, down, up. We're looking for a trade back in. Let's say here, right? Get rid of this now. Well, actually, that's quite a bit of risk. Let's see. Okay, that's beautiful. Maybe another sweep coming in. There we go. All right, so now long here. Stop could be just below that wick, let's say here. And we're looking for the low-hanging fruit again and again. And if we're wrong, we're wrong. And immediately right. Okay, so inside of an area, failure, low-hanging fruit with an objective higher, right? Consolidation, trades out of it, trades back into it, right? Consolidation, trades out of it, lower time frame, trades back into it, trades down, trades back up, right? This sort of thing happens every day, all time frames, and away we go, right? So I think we're going to call it here, though, guys. Give you guys a couple of hours. Hopefully this was able to serve you guys quite a bit and provide some insight. Yeah, we do these pretty much every Sunday. We're going to be doing one on YouTube, I think, monthly for the community. Hopefully you guys were able to tune in. We'll be able to tune in the future. And yeah, you guys are more than welcome to check us out as well on either my Twitter or Pope's Twitter, and consider joining up. I think there's a link in there, but this is on YouTube, so we'll leave it up on here for you guys as well. But any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to reach out to either Charles or I, or consider joining the Discord as well if you want to level up your narrative and your trading. Have a good rest of your weekend, and good luck this week, and we'll talk to you guys very soon.